Hey there guys, thanks for listening to Total Space. Today we're taking a deep dive look. I'm AnotherSpaceNut, along with my co-host.
I'm Mikko, and today we are talking about drone ships. So, what are drone ships? ASDS, short for Autonomous Spaceport Drone Ship. They are ocean landing pads for rockets, and they are derived from deck barges.
They're very big as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people underestimate the size of them when watching SpaceX launches.
Yeah, they are about, I think, 100 meters in length and about maybe 50 meters in width.
And bottleneck of SpaceX launches currently, aren't they?
Yeah, it takes a while to get them in the landing site. That would be maybe 3-day journey.
And so this is where we get the new autonomous drone ship, a shortfall of Gravitas that Elon keeps teasing about on Twitter.
Yeah, he's been talking about it for a long time, since about 2018, and we will be needing it for some Falcon Heavy missions because there may be 3 landing attempts on one launch.
Which is another record set for SpaceX.
Yeah, totally. That's coming in early 2021 for, I think it was National Security or US Air Force mission.
Sometimes when you just need a rocket that's capable of doing one very specific job, and that's hurling big objects into space, there's just one place you go.
Yeah, SpaceX.
I'm excited to see where we can go with the drone ships, because if we can get another drone ship to the fleet, it means more regular launches, it means more Starlink satellites, more consumer payloads, more revenue for SpaceX.
Yeah, and at some point the launch pads may become the limiting factor. I mean, they have 2 launch pads on East Coast, so they may have to start using the West Coast launch pad too.
And I assume for each new drone ship, they're going to be thinking about new fairing capture ships as well, aren't they? Because if they're launching from multiple coasts, and it would make sense that they start to duplicate the fleet.
Yeah, I mean, they only have 2 ships for fairing catches. I think they can catch only 1 fairing with 1 ship, maybe fish out another with the same ship.
So for each brand new autonomous drone ship, we're also likely to go and see replicas of the likes of Mystery and Mischief.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big fleet.
Because it naturally by sea to go from West Coast to East Coast takes quite a bit of time. But then if you can just replicate the fleet and start launching from, as you say, multiple coasts, then it really increases the capability of the launch market, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised if SpaceX were to launch the sun-synchronous rideshare missions from Vandenberg and maybe even some Starlink launches.
Yeah, and although a lot of people are saying that the Starship makes the Falcon architecture redundant, you know, I've been looking and like, you know yourself, the way that the launch market works is that you book contracts years in advance. And so there's contracts right up until sort of the late 2020s for the Falcon architecture. So although Starship is like a big factor in the launch market, I don't think they'll be retiring the Falcon architecture anytime soon. And that just means more and more. And I mean, culture ships. Like, have you seen the list of culture ship names? Like, there is plenty of ships ready to be named, and Elon's going for a culture ship vibe for the autonomous drone ship.
Yeah, and for the Falcon fleet, I would guess they will fly till maybe even 2030s. But Starship should take over at some point.
I mean, as Starship becomes more viable, it will naturally start to dominate the market. Although Tory might not agree, you know, there's still going to be a demand for the Falcon architecture. It's, you know, as it progresses to rideshare, especially because they'll just be able to continue reusing boosters, dropping the price each rideshare mission.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go more into specifics with the drone ships. SpaceX first landed a booster on 2015. That was on land, and first successful barge landing was in April 2016. And before that, they had a lot of booms on drone ships, and actually the first drone ship, which was JRTA, just read the instructions, was only service for 6 months, and it was retired after getting some hits.
Yeah, just read the instructions was a good pathfinder in essence. It taught us a lot about how to land rockets.
Yeah.
And even SpaceX sort of poked fun at how not to launch an orbital class booster rocket with a video, didn't they?
Yeah, that's one of the best videos ever.
If anybody listening wants to watch, just read the instructions, get tortured to a point where it becomes one of the quickest retired brand new pieces of hardware, I definitely recommend finding that video on the SpaceX YouTube channel.
Yeah, and there was also some landings on, of course, I Still Love You.
And it's unprecedented up until this point, up until drone. I mean, there's a dispute with Blue Origin as to who the idea belonged to first, but ultimately it's about how the technology got utilized, who beat who to the punch.
Yeah, I mean, Blue Origin was first, but they are too slow to make it happen. So SpaceX got the win there.
Yeah, I agree. You can put a patent in all you like, but it's about how much you utilize the ability of that. Like, it's all good and well to say, "Oh, well, we own a patent on it," but then it's about how you're using that patent. If you sit on it for 20 years, just conceptualizing products, and then somebody else takes that idea, rethinks it, gets a viable product to market, and starts to actually disrupt the launch industry, that's where the crown comes in.
Yeah, it's good that the US court decided that the patent won't hold SpaceX back, because otherwise they would be only landing on land.
And that's only good for 2 out of 3 Falcon Heavy cores. Anything else the listeners might want to know about autonomous drone ships? Octograbbers, I'm sure. That's a term that's been thrown around a lot, and a lot of people get confused, I feel, when talking about octograbbers.
Yeah, so Octograbber is the Roomba, you would call it, the autonomous robot that will go secure the boosters after landing. The idea is it will drive under the booster and grab onto it, so center of gravity will be as low as possible. So it won't fall over to the ocean like one of the Falcon Heavy boosters. I think it was ArabSat mission, the center core dropped the ocean.
The ArabSat 6F, where they had a successful recovery and then lost it on its way back to the port.
Yeah, they actually counted as a successful landing, but still, it was a failed recovery.
And that's at the point where SpaceX decided they needed to stop that being an issue for future launches, didn't they? And decided we'll create the world's biggest, as you described it, robo-Roomba.
No, actually at that point the Roomba was already working with Falcon 9 boosters, but after the ArabSat mission they made modifications so it can also grab onto the Falcon Heavy center core.
Because the Falcon Heavy center core is a modified core, isn't it? It's not one of the stock ones like they're strapped to the side of Falcon Heavy, right?
Yeah, I think there must be some connections to the side boosters that may have prevented Octograbber on grabbing it.
So they corrected the Octograbber, and that's why just read the instructions. Was it just read the instructions? It wasn't.
That was I Still Love You.
silly, went off grid for 6 months, didn't it? And took an upgrade to the Octograbber. I'm not too sure it was or silly.
Actually, just read the instructions went for service in 2019 when they started to take it out from Vandenberg, and it was serviced for almost a year before it started operation on the East Coast.
When it came out on the East Coast, that's when we saw the first variant of the upgraded Octograbber, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, Osisley has the older version. I think both are capable of grabbing Falcon Heavies.
And then with the addition of shortfall of gravitas, it means they'll be able to grab 3 cores. Finally go 3 for 3 on recovery.
Yeah, that will be an awesome mission to see. So when do we use the drone ships? Usually drone ship is needed when the rocket doesn't have enough propellant to return to the launch site.
So those longer duration missions where it might need to be in slightly longer burning orbit and the like, so they need the extra push.
Yeah, that would almost always be a geostationary mission or heavier payload like Starlinks, because Starlinks just takes almost everything out of the Falcon 9s.
And the GPS-3 SVO4, have you seen the size of that satellite?
Sorry, the size of?
The next generation of GPS satellite that SpaceX is sending up.
Yeah. I think bigger reason for that is because it's in medium Earth orbit, so that's around 20,000 kilometer orbit. So it needs quite a lot of choice to put it in there.
It's the size of a shipping container. It's absolutely preposterous to look at. It's big.
yeah, it's massive. Yeah, there are quite nice videos when the GPS satellites are moved inside the Falcon 9 fairing on a road. It's just massive.
Once again, it's sometimes often hard to gauge when you're watching live streams just how big the hardware is. But when you realise that it's the size of a shipping container locked away inside those fairings, and then to think they go to space and then come back and get caught with a ship, it is just incredible.
I think the drone ship the size is almost like a football field.
And to think that number 3 and number 4 and then number 5, by the time the Starships in serial production launching cargo, and we're still going to be seeing these drone ships produced, but probably on a bigger scale.
Yeah, that's actually a question. I'm not sure that's the answer, because I think Elon has been talking that the Starships would almost always return to the launch site and then get refueled and fly again.
But then if that launch site's, say, an oil rig out at sea and they stack the landing, a drone ship could be quite handy.
Yeah, I mean, they would definitely get some more performance out of the rocket if they had it, let's say, 500 kilometers from the launch site. But then again, if it can lift 100 tons to orbit, is there a need for more performance?
Good question.
Yeah, seeing those oil rigs will be fun.
Seeing where they are and then where they go to, because SpaceX always release those cool time-lapse videos when they do major projects, and to see these beaten up old oil rigs turned into orbital launch sites is going to be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, quite the future we live in. If there will be tens of oil rigs converted to launch and landing pads, that would be pretty insane. Let's take a look at the numbers of successful and failed landings. The first Just Read the Instruction ship only had 2 failures and no successes. Then, of course, I Still Love You. Until today, it has 30 successful landings and 5 failures. And another Just Read the Instructions has 10 successful landings and 1 failure. So we can see that, of course, I Still Love You has been much more used because it has been on the East Coast.
He's currently the king of reusability.
Yeah, and if we think about how much SpaceX has saved money with this, it's a big amount.
The New York Times is estimating 20 million per launch is saved through the reusability of Falcon 9.
Yeah, that's about right. So that's a lot of money.
Per 5 launches, that's 2 brand new Falcon boosters can be spent with what they're saving.
Yeah.
And that, I think we can end it there really. Like, of course, I Still Love You at present is the world record holder for rocket capture ships, and that is just
Yeah, that is mind-blowing.
So thanks for joining us today, guys. I've been Another Space Nut.
And I've been Mikko. Please tune in to the next episode as well.
Have a great day, guys.
Have a great day.